Well, here we come to a very interesting study, number 10 in our series on prophecy, illusions, images and symbols. This one's number 10, upon whom the ends have come. And of course, that's really referring to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, the line there in the Free Bible version. All things that happened to them, the Israelites in the wilderness, are examples to us and were written down to warn us, we who are living close to the end of time. So if you think you're strong enough to stay standing, be careful you don't fall. And so we have an interesting perspective. When Paul wrote those words to the church in Corinth, he was thinking that they were living in the time of the end. And the time of the end was then. We think we're living in the time of the end, 2,000 years later. So when is the time of the end? Well, I suppose you could say any time after the life, death, resurrection, ascension of Jesus was the time of the end. Any time between that time and his return is indeed the time of the end. But let's not get hung up on the times and the dates. What we're really thinking about is, what does all this mean in terms of our perspective, especially relating to the end time judgment? You have Revelation 6, the judgment of the Lamb. Matthew 24 talks about the unknown time of Jesus' coming and how it'll be like the time of Noah and the flood, the issue of separation, of judgment. Matthew 25, even you could add in there the separation of the sheep and the goats. Genesis 6 talks about God deciding to end it all except for Noah and his family. Why? Because when he looked down, he saw that the thoughts of humanity, everybody living there, was only evil continuously. That's what he saw, that everybody was just thinking of doing evil things. So you might say that that was a time for a reboot of the whole great controversy aspect, so that people could see where evil led. If he had let that continue, we would have all been finished well before now. In 2 Peter 2 speaks of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, also described in Genesis 18, and in Daniel 7, 9 and 10, it's the vision of the heavenly court in judgment. So the whole aspect is pointing us towards the way in which God judges at the end. And in Hebrew thought, judgment wasn't just condemnation, sentencing guilty people and so on. It was a judgment also for good. It was a vindication of those who had done the right thing, vindication of what was good and what was true. And so for us today, I think we have to think about, what does God trying to achieve through all of this? Where is prophecy going? What is it leading up to? What should we be understanding about prophecy? It isn't just to satisfy our curiosity, it isn't simply to let us know which empire followed the next and so on. It's to convince us that God is going to bring this all to an end. We look around ourselves in our world today. Things seem to have continued on, as the scoffer said, ever since the beginning of creation. But that does bring us to the point that God was the creator, and he's the one who's going to recreate. He's the one who's going to fix all of this. He's going to bring it to a satisfactory conclusion. So looking around ourselves at the world today, we might say, well, we don't see the judgment arriving anytime soon. And that was the position of the evil servant who said, my Lord delays his coming. But no, God is coming in his own good time. He will come when it's the right time. You know, we have the difference in Greek between chronos, the chronological time, and kairos, the season. And the season is when God comes to judge. He's not preoccupied with our time frame. He's thinking of, okay, now we can bring all this to an end. I want it to end, I must admit. I'm tired of this sad old world with so much evil, so much death, so much pain, so much suffering. but I leave it in the Lord's hands, because he knows when that time is best, and I look forward to meeting him when he does come back.